Day 3. Whoa, almost twisted my ankle. Day 3. I had to delete all the files off, well, a lot of the videos off of my phone because I just ran out of room, but I'm gonna record this shit. It's day 3. The quote of the day is gonna be, the man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right. A lot of times, how could I put this? If you think you aren't going to succeed when you go to try something, you're probably right. Same thing if you do. If you do believe you can, you're probably right. A lot of times the effort you put in and your belief in what you're about to do will affect your performance. And it's gonna be raw, so I'm not gonna cut this. But your performance linked to how you believe about yourself and what you're capable of doing. There's been plenty of times that it could go back to fitness. It's real. Almost everything's easily, maybe it's just me, but easily connected to fitness and life. There's guys that I've worked out with that didn't believe they could put a certain amount of weight up, for example, bench or squat, and they cut themselves short on reps. And I'm like, oh man, you had way more, and they're like, they don't believe it. And they try it again and they do it. And it's like, you believe that you couldn't, therefore your mind's gonna find ways to prove yourself right. So if you believe a certain thing, what's it called? Something bias. It's the way the brain works. I don't know the science, the exact term, but basically when you're gonna go do something, the message I'm trying to get across is believe that you can. And believing sometimes is gonna take practice. You can't just believe you're gonna do something that you've never done. It's not simple. I feel like a lot of people don't. That's the common response to something like that. Is, oh, but I've never done it before. How can I believe that I could do something that I've never done? And it comes back to self-confidence in yourself and keeping your word. When you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, and you don't keep the word to yourself, you're not gonna have that self-confidence because you're always lying to yourself about what you're gonna get done. On the other hand, when you do and you build that up, you're gonna start to believe yourself, because no matter how many tries it takes, you end up getting the job done. You end up doing what you said you were gonna do. And that gets tied with belief too. So keep your word to yourself, build that up, start believing you can do something. Even if it's the first try to believe. Get the negative talk out of your mind. And when you go to do something, if it doesn't work the first time, just because it didn't work the first time and you can't see any progression visually, doesn't mean you're not making progress on hitting that goal that you're trying to hit. Just because you visibly can't see it doesn't mean nothing's happening. And a lot of times people quit because they can't visually see it. That shit's changing, even though it could be. Like a piñata. Piñata's a good example. It's not the last kid that hits it that breaks the piñata. Yes, it is him that breaks the piñata. But had it not been for the people hitting it before him, even though you visually can't see it, slowly the piñata is breaking down. And you can apply that same analogy to goals. You're not going to hit it the first time. Nobody does. It's rare that you do. It can happen, but it's rare. But just because that first attempt didn't work doesn't mean you can't hit the goal. It just means you have to try a little bit harder. Maybe change the angle of how you're trying to hit that goal. All right, I'm gonna finish this walk. My hand's freezing. It's probably like 25, 30, something like that. But I'll see you guys for breakfast. All right, good news, bad news. Good news is I found the tripod and I've been using it for the last 2 episodes, and the episodes are getting a lot better. Bad news is on this episode that I'm uploading now, day 3, I didn't have the tripod to record the HIIT workout. I did it, but I wasn't able to record it, so that's it for that episode. So what I decided I'm gonna do is, I was looking back at the video when I was doing the walk and I went into that quote. It's day 8 for me right now. I'm now getting it uploaded, trying to stay consistent, posting it daily, but what I was saying was all over the place. It wasn't really concise, so I figured I'd take the time now to go into beliefs, because that was what the quote was based on. If you believe you can and you believe you can't, both are right. So I'm going to go into beliefs. There's 2 experiments I want to reference on this, and they're scientific experiments. You can look them up. It's the rat in the water experiment and the fleas in the jar experiment. And it goes into beliefs, how they affect animals and how it could be correlated to people and how their beliefs affect them. And why believing you can do something and you can't do something is huge into what a person actually achieves or does in their life. Alright, so the rats in water experiment. They put rats in a jar of water halfway full. I think it was a bucket, halfway full of water. Rats are pretty good swimmers. So it surprised the scientists that after 15 minutes they all died. And it was because, and then they did the experiment again, and they put them in the water, right? And right before 15 minutes, they took them out and they dried them, gave them a break, put them back in, and then they lasted 60 hours. So the rat was capable of swimming for 60 hours, but it died after 15. Why was that? Well, it was probably because the rats felt hopeless. They lost belief that they could survive, so they just died. That could be, correlated back to people as well, whether you believe you can, you believe you can't, probably right. Now, the second experiment was the fleas in the jar. They put fleas in the jar. Fleas, if you don't know, both of these have videos, so you can check them out. Fleas can jump really high, like way past what the jar is. They can fucking jump from probably taller than the floor to a door. I'm pretty sure, a flea. But it was a small jar like this. They put the cap on the jar with the fleas inside, and then after a day, I think they let it sit there for a day. They opened the jar, and none of the fleas jumped out of the jar. They could no longer jump higher than the jar. Now, what was even crazier is their offspring, the baby fleas. They too were not able to jump out of the jar. It's crazy when you think about it, because a lot of times that's how it is for people. Your beliefs are based around what your parents' beliefs are and what you're told by your parents and what's what and what's not. And then, so those were the 2 experiments, right? I went into how beliefs can affect your life, what you will do. It could pretty much predict how you're going to live your life based where you come from, or what your family believes, because then you're going to believe that, and you're going to have that cap on yourself because you believe that's what's possible. The ceilings, the ceiling, you could relate it to fitness. Like I was saying, someone squatting, someone benching, someone thinking what weight they could put up because they believe that. It's crazy, because I've seen people literally go, when I've seen it, and it's when I recognize it, because it's so common, and I know based off of watching someone do something, I can be like, oh, they probably just they got a mental block. They'll be, for example, I'm squatting, right? I hit 5 reps, easy, and then out of nowhere,
get stuck at 6 and I'm struggling out of nowhere, and it looked like I could have went for 10 more, and that right there could be, maybe that happened and they actually are gassed and they're done, or a lot of times from what I've seen is they just have a mental block. They believe that that's all they could do. So that's one way you could relate to fitness, and then how self-confidence affects your beliefs. So if you have good self-confidence, it's going to be a lot easier to change your beliefs, because the self-confidence comes from you keeping your promises you make to yourself. So you believe what you can do, you believe you're more capable, because you've already done it. You've proved to yourself that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. So there's that. And then on the other hand, when you don't believe what you're capable of, like, you're always lying up to yourself, you're always saying you're going to do something, you never do it. If you're going to then have that, believing that certain way, having that type of confidence, and then tell yourself, oh, what, this is holding me back, it's not true. That might be the case, but you don't even believe yourself, so you're probably not going to be able to change your beliefs. So self-confidence, I feel like, plays a huge role in belief. They're separate, but they work hand in hand. Alright, so how you can remove old beliefs and build new ones. I wanted to go into that. So there's 6 steps. First step is identifying the limiting beliefs. The second is to recognize it is a limiting belief and it no longer serves you. The third step is to challenge those beliefs. Fourth step is to take account of what it's costing you, those beliefs. What are the consequences of having those beliefs? 5 is to adopt a new belief, and 6 is to put it into practice. So a little bit more into challenging the belief that you have. That's step 3. The other ones are pretty self-explanatory, but step 3, like, what makes me think that certain thing? What did I believe? What made me believe that? What did I do that had me believing that, or is that just something I've been told to believe? Does it hold weight still? Maybe you did something once and you gave it one try, but you didn't really give it a good try or a couple tries to try to do a certain thing, and now you believe that you can't do something. A lot of times, your parents try something and they weren't able to accomplish it, and then they tell you can't. Those are examples of challenging those beliefs. Now, the step 4, what is it costing you? Take into account what that's costing you. What's that mental block, that ceiling that you're putting on yourself with that belief? What is it really costing you? It could be financial, it could be fitness, it could be relationships. Because if, like, for example, it could even be relationships. For example, all these bitches ain't shit. Common phrase. That's wild that I would even say that, but that's not true. But if you believe that, how could you ever have a good relationship with a significant other or something like that? Oh, I'll never make more money, I'll never get out of this town. You probably won't if you have that attitude. You're gonna live in a shitty part of town the rest of your life because you believe that's what you're capable of. Now, if you were to turn around and say, hey, look, I'm here now, but that doesn't define me. I can, get out of here, and then you actually, since you believe it, your mind, what I was talking about earlier, cognitive bias, wants to prove you right. Cognitive biases, and it's basically enforces the bias you have, right? I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but that's what I was mentioning earlier. I didn't know the name of it, but that's the phrase is cognitive bias, and your brain's going to prove you right. So once you start to believe that you can do something that you previously didn't, your mind's going to start finding solutions and fixing problems, finding solutions to get you out of that situation and make what you believe is possible true, ways that you can accomplish that. That's a big thing. All right, now adopting a new belief. So if I believe this, so 5 and 6 go hand in hand. Adopting a new belief, putting it to practice. So an example would be, I'm too blank to blank. I believe that I'm too blank to blank, or this is this. I'll go into I'm too blank to blank, and I'm going to give the example of old and fitness. So, like, I'm too old to get in shape. And then you want to contradict that old belief. So, the opposite. So, I'm getting in shape even though I'm too old, or I'm getting in shape because I'm old, or I'm too old to start a business. And then you go and say, oh, I'm building a, because I'm too, because I'm old, I have more experience, and that's going to help me build a business. You just tweaked it, and you flipped it. So those are the 6 steps, and I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Keep going. If you're struggling right now, understand that there's light at the end of the road. So just keep trying to get better day by day. 1% better every day. All right.